The moment Gao Tu found out he was pregnant, his mind went completely blank. His body was already weak because of his pheromone disorder, and the doctor wasted no time giving him a stern warning. As a patient with this condition, it's impossible for you to give birth safely without the cooperation of your alpha partner. Mr. Gao, you can't do this. You must terminate the pregnancy immediately. The words hit him like a heavy blow. The doctor had seen many cases before. He knew how dangerous this was. In fact, he had long suspected that Gao Tu's partner must have been someone who hated omegas, someone who couldn't stand their natural scent. Otherwise, how could Gao Tu have ended up in such a desperate situation? Out of responsibility for your life, I suggest you give up this child. But Gao Tu, pale and trembling, still asked in a soft voice, "Is there no other way? I heard there are artificial soothing pheromones now. Or maybe I could try using the pheromones of other alphas with a higher compatibility." The doctor shook his head. It was clear from the look in his eyes that he pitied the young omega in front of him. This is not practical. Your symptoms are already too severe: vomiting, loss of appetite, insomnia. You've become so thin. Anyone who looks at you can see you're suffering. Even we doctors can hardly bear it. And the alpha you like, he's nothing but a scumbag. At that, Gao Tu immediately shook his head. He's not. It's my fault. His voice dropped to a whisper, filled with shame. But the older doctor couldn't stand hearing it. He slammed the medical record down on the table. What's wrong with you? How can you blame yourself? You can't get pregnant alone. Doesn't that man, the one who hates omegas but still uses them, doesn't he have any responsibility at all? But Gao Tu didn't want to talk about who was to blame. It was too late for that. What mattered now was finding a way to keep the child. So he spoke softly, but firmly. "Doctor, I know you're saying this for my own good, but I really want this child." It was humiliating to say it out loud, admitting to another person that he wanted to keep Shen Wenlang's child. His cheeks burned with shame, but he still gathered his courage and asked, "Why can't I use other people's pheromones to get through this?" The doctor sighed, his voice heavy with helplessness. "For patients like you, it's already rare to get pregnant. But carrying the baby to term without your alpha's pheromone comfort? Nearly impossible. Your early pregnancy symptoms are already more serious than most omegas. Artificial pheromones can help a little, yes, but only for a short time. As for using another alpha's pheromones..." He hesitated, then said firmly, "There are great risks, even moral ones. Do you really think it's right?" Gao Tu's face flushed red. He hadn't even thought of it like that. Seeing his shame, the doctor softened slightly. "Of course, if someone volunteers, there is a way. Modern technology can separate pheromones from blood and make extracts. But with your disorder, even that might not help. You're too weak. If you refuse to consider ending the pregnancy, you are gambling with your life." Still, Gao Tu didn't give up. His voice trembled as he asked, "But what if I could get the pheromone extract from the child's father? That would work, wouldn't it?" In that moment, he was still naive. He actually believed that Shen Wenlang might agree to help, if only he explained carefully enough. He even went so far as to hire a lawyer and draft legal documents, a property waiver, an inheritance waiver, a parent-child severance agreement. He planned everything so that Shen Wenlang would have no burden, no responsibility. All Gao Tu wanted was the child, not the man. But reality was cruel. After days of preparing himself, building up his courage, he finally faced Shen Wenlang and asked for his help. And Shen Wenlang's only answer was cold, sharp, and final. "Of course, abort it." That was the moment Gao Tu's hope completely shattered. No matter how hard he tried, there was no way to save the child. He couldn't depend on artificial pheromones. He couldn't rely on strangers. And he absolutely could not beg Shen Wenlang again. He left without another word, his steps heavy and his heart sinking. Standing outside the clinic, he stared blankly at a stain on the ground, unable to move, unable to think. For a long time he just stood there. And far away, when Shen Wenlang eventually realized what had happened, it was already too late. Gao Tu had disappeared from his reach. On the very night that Hua Yong proposed to Sheng Xiaoyu, Shen Wenlang suddenly panicked. He mobilized every connection, every resource, searching for Gao Tu as if he had lost his mind. The commotion was so great that even Hua Yong received calls from all directions, asking questions about Shen Wenlang's desperate search. In the end, Shen Wenlang admitted the truth. Gao Tu ran away. Didn't he run away a long time ago? Hua Yong asked, frowning. This time is different, Shen Wenlang said, his tone colder than ever. And Hua Yong understood. Shen Wenlang had finally realized what he had lost, but it was already too late. After leaving the clinic that day, Gao Tu walked through the streets in silence. The world around him bustled with noise, but to him, everything felt distant, muffled, almost unreal. Every step he took felt heavier than the last. He placed a hand gently over his stomach. Inside him, a fragile life was quietly growing, and even though his body was weak, his heart longed to protect it. He whispered to himself, as if making a vow no one else could hear. No matter what happens, I'll try, I'll hold on. But reality was merciless. His health was declining, his strength fading day by day. The loneliness was unbearable. The very person who should have stood by his side had turned away without hesitation. And yet, Gao Tu refused to hate Shen Wenlang. He thought of all the moments, even brief ones, when his feelings had been genuine. To him, those memories were enough to cling to, even if they now burned like fire in his chest. Meanwhile, Shen Wenlang, who had dismissed Gao Tu so cruelly, began to feel a gnawing emptiness once Gao Tu disappeared. For someone who had always kept control, always faced the world with cold detachment, the sudden loss shook him to his core. He threw his influence and resources into a desperate search. But no matter how far he reached, he couldn't find the one person who mattered most. It was as if Gao Tu had vanished into thin air. In those sleepless nights, Shen Wenlang finally understood the truth. The Omega he had pushed away, the child he had rejected, those were the very things he could never replace. But by the time realization struck, there was nothing left he could do. And so, Gao Tu walked alone, carrying both hope and despair inside him, while Shen Wenlang was left with nothing but regret. This is the heartbreaking story of Gao Tu and Omega, who wanted nothing more than to protect his child, but was forced to face the cruel reality of betrayal, rejection, and loss. If this story touched you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next emotional story we share.